KSL News Radio. We have you covered.
8:59, traffic and weather together, brought to you by UCCU. Auto loan rates as low as 4.74% APR. And back to you, Cam.
Well, I'm looking at a fresh crash here on northbound I-15. This is going to be a 3-car pileup at 2300 South as you come past the I-80 junction. That's going to be in South Salt Lake. Now, it doesn't look like we have... the emergency vehicles have just arrived, so it looks like we are going to start seeing some lane restrictions here as they start to block off the HOV lane and the left lane. But I would expect those delays to start building pretty quickly. Now, taking a look at the rest of I-15 here, we are looking fine in the South Valley. No delays to speak of at Point of the Mountain or the South Interchange. And if you're headed eastbound on the 201, you're going to be fine coming through Magna, but you might run into a little bit of slowing between the Bangalore Highway and the I-215 merge. Otherwise, I-80, I-215 are in great shape. Aubrey?
Well, southbound I-15 moving great from Ogden all the way into Salt Lake City. I am still seeing some pockets of slowing from South Ogden into Uinta on Highway 89. And if you're on the West Davis corridor or Legacy Parkway, those are looking good. And coming through Parley's Canyon, trying to get onto Highway 40, that is still looking a little bit slow there. Thirsty for better water? Culligan has you covered, from softeners and filtration to bottle-free coolers and bottled water delivery. I'm Aubrey Withrich in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today, we have a chance of rain, primarily in the southern parts of the state, a high of 80 degrees. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, 84, 87 Sunday, 90 starting on Monday. We'll stay right around 90 for most of next week. Right now, it's 66 degrees downtown.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
9 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story this hour: after the heavy downpour, meteorologists are saying the rain will likely continue, just not at yesterday's scale. KSL News Radio's McKenna Rodriguez has more.
Christina Cruz with the National Weather Service says Utahns can expect one more day of a monsoon surge with the highest flood threat across southern Utah.
I don't expect it to be nearly as potent as it was yesterday with respect to severe thunderstorm warning.
Cruz says the tornado warnings have expired after a short-lived period yesterday, but warns that people traveling down to southern Utah should be more careful and avoid slot canyons, dry washes, and other areas that tend to flood. McKenna Rodriguez, KSL News Radio.
That rain is bringing some much-needed moisture to the state, especially with multiple wildfires still burning. Utah Fire Info says the Rocky Canyon fire has reached 15,662 acres. Crews were able to make some more progress yesterday before having to stop due to lightning and potential rain. It's now 40% contained. Evacuees can return home but remain in a set status, meaning they need to be prepared to evacuate again if conditions change. Happening today, the bodies of 2 helicopter pilots killed while fighting the Wide Mouth 2 fire will be escorted by Highway Patrol troopers to the Salt Lake Airport. The procession for Miles Elliott and Chris Anderson will start at the medical examiner's office in Taylorsville at 11 a.m. near 47th South. It will then travel on I-15, exiting at 700 North, then down 22nd West. Your money at this moment. The Dow is off 74 points this morning. That's about 0.1%. We're at 53,765. Coming up, cooler temperatures again today. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:02. A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
I'm not one to say I told you so, but I switched to Pure Talk over a year ago, and ever since, I've been telling people there's no better wireless company out there. Well, a few months ago, a massive survey was conducted. 123,000 people were asked to rate their wireless carrier in 4 categories: coverage, support, data, and overall value. Well, the results are in. Guess which wireless company was the only wireless company to get 5 stars in every category? Yeah, Pure Talk. 5 stars, every category. To celebrate, Pure Talk is offering the first 3 months of any plan for just $15 a month, including their top-tier unlimited plan. No contract, no commitment, just a very inexpensive way to test drive the only American wireless company with 5 stars in every category. Just dial pound 250, say micro, and Pure Talk's U.S. customer service will take it from there. Again, pound 250 micro. And yes, I told you so.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. I'm here with Monty from Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. And I was thinking the other day, Monty, that every water softener I've ever seen has a giant tank that holds bags and bags of water softener salt. Well, except one, the one I have in my home. And I picture this, my Connecticut has the little salt tank about the size of a paper shredder or a small trash can.
Well, Doug, that's because the Connecticut water softeners use so much less salt, an average of 70% less than other water softeners. So you don't need a tank that holds 6 or 8 bags of salt.
I love the fact that it's so easy to fill because I don't have to lift those bags up so high, and it seems like those bags of salt, well, they're getting heavier every year.
Yes, it does. When you're using 1 bag of salt for every 3 a regular water softener uses, there's no need for a large salt tank.
Tired of lifting those heavy salt bags to fill your giant water softener salt tank? Go to softwaterutah.com. That's softwaterutah.com.
This is Colin Keary from the New Millennium Group. Have you ever had a question for your financial advisor only to find out that the next available appointment is months away? At New Millennium Group, we believe that financial advice should never be limited to once-a-year review meetings. Life happens every single day. Markets change, retirement questions come up, family situations evolve, and when they do, you deserve answers. That's why we pride ourselves at the New Millennium Group on being accessible when our clients need us most. Whether you're wondering about your investments or a major life decision, our team is here to help provide guidance. We're not interested in being the firm you hear from once a year. We want to be your trusted resource throughout your entire retirement journey. If you're looking for a financial team that values relationships, communication, and responsiveness, we'd love to meet you. Give us a call today at 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370, or visit us at utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. You deserve to love where you bank. And here is Aubrey Withridge.
Well, we do have this crash. This is northbound I-15 just at the exit for the 201 freeway and I-80 there. It looks like it's backed up to about 3300 south right now. We did have an earlier crash there too, which those delays hadn't quite cleared out, so it's just adding to that delay there. If you're coming out of Ogden and Davis County, things look good there. Southbound I-15 all the way into downtown Salt Lake City. 215's east and west side belts both moving at good speeds. Sell a ride with Amanda Dixon and Morris Columbus Travel. Exclusive pricing and just 50 cabins available. Meet Amanda on board. Book now at morriscolumbus.com/KSL before they're gone. I'm Aubrey Withridge in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today will be mostly cloudy with a chance of rain showers and thunderstorms this afternoon. The highs around 80. This weekend, the storms should move out and the highs in the low to mid 80s. Right now it's 66 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio. Severe Utah weather. Special coverage on KSL News Radio.
The rain started falling on us when we were riding our bikes, and so we were driving by and saw, I think it's about 10 houses that were just flooded. Felt really bad, and so we got everyone gathered together.
We developed a little bit of a trash can method here. We got the buckets, and we're just filling up the trash cans, dragging them up the driveways, and then dumping them out.
Yeah, buckets after buckets after buckets. That was the scene that we saw yesterday in Sandy after several dozen homes, Holly, were flooded thanks to last night's big storm.
So this morning, the rain has cleared up, but the damage remains, and neighbor helping neighbor, just like Utahns do.
Yeah, flooding in Sandy, evacuations at the Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater, tornado warning in Tooele County. The storm came through with quite a punch. I decided yesterday I'd do the brilliant thing of taking one of my motorcycles from Eden to the bike shop in Salt Lake and picking up another motorcycle back. It rained on me the entire time. The guy at the shop said, "Are you crazy?" Gosh. But I rode 100 miles on 2 different motorcycles yesterday, but got my bike in the shop.
So in Utah County, we had rain, but it wasn't nearly as severe as it was in Sandy, where they got, I'm looking at like 1.5 to 2.5 inches in just an hour. So we're going to get an update on the damage from the storm. Joining us now, Sandy Mayor Monica Zoltansky. Mayor, you're out surveying the damage right now. How are things looking today?
Yep. Yeah, I've been out with my crews this morning checking out the damage. Well, Mother Nature really packed a wallop in Sandy last night around 7 o'clock. The storm hit hard, and we all of a sudden went from normal post commute hour to a deluge. We had about 30 calls from people whose homes were flooding. Most of those were downward sloping driveways, but we did have a big pile up here just over my shoulder on 13th East at about 102nd South. It was like the Mississippi River flowing through right down 1300 East. So cars were stranded. Our firefighters came to the rescue, helped clear the storm drains and help people out of their vehicles. One of our firefighters lifted a woman right from her car window and helped her to safety. Our storm crew was out all over the city. Police, of course, responding to calls and managing traffic at affected intersections. There was just a lot of standing water from this monsoonal rain.
Monica, it sounds like you yourself were out most of the night watching this and helping out. What was it that you saw specifically?
Well, I was at Home Depot and waiting for the storm to clear to run to my car, but it just didn't. So I had to make a break for it. Got home, checked out my place. My barn was flooded. I had 6 inches of water in my barn. So I went home to feed my horses and check on things. Cleared that out and then went out around the city and just saw a lot of standing water. And this morning you can see where the debris and bark, mulch, and leaves are piled up on park strips. So it got crazy real fast. We're checking this morning, going around, making sure that all of our affected areas are safe. Our storm drain areas are cleared, of course. And then what we saw last night in Sandy that was really remarkable, I saw it all over social media, was our retention ponds at Storm Mountain Park and Falcon Park. People were paddleboarding and swimming and boating in them. I mean, I understand the temptation, but that is not safe because there's drains that create a current. The water comes out. It's unpredictable. And the water, of course, is very unsanitary. So please, if there's still standing water in our parks, which there is this morning, avoid those areas because if a child went down, you would never know. The water is so dirty.
So, Mayor, I did see this morning in one of the news articles that I found that says, please don't swim in retention ponds. And it feels like maybe you should just know that. But the fact that you have to tell people explicitly, look, this is not a good idea.
Well, I understand. It looks so fun and inviting after the long, hot summer, but we've got to be smart and safe, of course. And I do want to let my neighbors know if you have damage that is cleaned up. I have vouchers at the Sandy Mayor's office. Please give me a call, 801-568-7109. These are vouchers for a free drop-off at the Transjordan landfill station, so you can drop off a load of debris for free. And I have several of these vouchers to help our residents here this morning. But if there's damage to our public infrastructure, please report that to Sandy. You can call directly to the mayor's office or our non-emergency dispatch. That number is 801-799-3000. So our crews are going around inspecting, being proactive, but if residents see something that the city should know about, please call it in.
Mayor, do you know yet whether or not any of the drinking water has been compromised there? Do your water officials say that was not hurt?
I don't have any reports that would even suggest that. So.
Oh, good.
What type of cleanup do the homeowners whose homes were flooded, do you know, like what are they facing? Is this a days long, weeks long, longer than that?
Well, I guess it depends on the amount of damage. The neighbor immediately behind me reported she had a downward sloping driveway and had water that came into her garage but didn't make it into the house, fortunately. But not everyone was so lucky. So some basements are flooded. I expect this morning there's people pulling up carpet, clearing up drywall that's been soaked. It's always such a mess. That's why these vouchers for the landfill might help some of my residents.
It looks from behind you that it's a beautiful morning and it's dry, and I guess we're expecting the day to continue to be dry. So we're assuming maybe, Monica, that this day is going to start getting rid of some of that moisture and some of the people can start cleaning up without future rain, although I don't know what the forecast is, but it looks like you're in good shape now.
Yeah, we are in this monsoonal season, though, so we can expect more of these afternoon storms, and this one was a big one. I mean, almost 2 inches of rain in an hour. That's going to overwhelm any city infrastructure. So we just asked people to help their neighbors. I saw so many reports and I saw things personally of neighbors helping neighbors. That's what Sandy does best. And then the city, we are all hands on deck this morning with the cleanup. So call the mayor's hotline, 801-568-6060 if you have something to report, and I can help.
Is there anything that can be done to be maybe proactive, prepared for something like this as far as like sandbags, or is this just when you get 2 inches in an hour, you just can't prepare for that?
Yeah, I don't think, a 50 or 100-year storm isn't something that most homeowners are thinking about. But if you have these conditions, the landscape in your home, if you have areas that get washed out year after year with big storms, good to be prepared and have sandbags on hand. But like, I've lived in my place for almost 15 years. I've never seen water just come into my barn, seep in from the gutters were just overwhelmed. And so some things you just can't prepare for and just have to make the best of.
All right. Thanks, Mayor. That was Monica Zoltansky, Sandy City Mayor, who was up all night and working on it again today.
Morning.
You know, Sandy's not the only city. There were actually tornado warnings in Tooele County.
It's kind of crazy, right?
I mean, it was hard. I mean, it was the dumbest thing I did, but riding that bike and just having the rain just hit me in the face so hard, I finally a motorist gave me a bandana.
Felt
sorry for me, like
the
you
guy.
Dummy.
So look, we were down in Utah County and there was rain, but I asked my son during the day if he had a lot, and he said no, just barely. It was really windy in Orem when I went down to UVU yesterday. Also some rain and some thunder, but it wasn't the downpour where you get that just pelting rain coming in such a short period of time. Okay, coming up next on Inside Sources, we're going to leave the rain behind for a minute. We're going to go downtown for an update on the businesses that were devastated by a massive fire a year ago. KSL spoke with several of the business owners as they work to rebuild. More on that after the break.
I've been stranded in the combat zone. I walk through Bedford style alone. Rode my motorcycle in the rain. And you told me not to drive, but I made it home alive. So you said that only the blues that I've been saying.
Yeah, that was the song my wife was singing to me last night. Well, hey, the storms are coming up, but summer's also wrapping up, and so is the 4-week free offer at Soda Diet Nutrition, and this is the last time for the summer. You can grab this before the summer is over. Remember, no injections, no awful side effects, just a natural way to lose weight. Call 866-800-SODA, SOTA, and mention this radio station for 4 free weeks free. When I got up this morning, I put my belt on, and I saw all these holes that I had drilled into it a couple of months ago because it no longer fit, and now it looks kind of ridiculous because I've got these belt holes, and I've got pants that I've moved the buttons because they didn't fit anymore. Now I can fit in them again. Suits that I haven't worn in years because I lost 30 pounds. It's been a great thing for me, and it was all based on diet. I had a nutritionist that helped me out with that. She was wonderful. She checked me every week. I lost almost exactly 30 pounds in 7 weeks. I lost 18 pounds in the first 4 weeks alone. I've kept it off too, and I'm going to plan on keeping it off forever. Soda worked for me, and it will work for you. Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
Do you love your front door? Does it improve the curb appeal of your home? Does it feel secure and new and perfect for your home? No? Let me direct you to Peach Windows and Doors, where everything they do is custom. They can install a front door or a basement door or a big door that you could drive a car through if you wanted to. And the knobs on these doors are not just knobs. They're like a locking system that works like a safe. These are the most secure doors, and Peach builds those doors. So when they install, they are custom fit to your home. You can even have an option to have like a glass window on the side of your door. They're called operable side light doors, and they can open themselves, which would allow you to move something large in or out of the house. It's just all of the custom features that we can do for you at Peach Windows and Doors. I encourage you to stop by their showroom on 3rd West at 2940 South, or see some of the beautiful doors and windows online at peachwindowsanddoors.com.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS
get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 877-CARS4KIDS to speak to a friendly live agent. Donation is super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Go to carsforkids.org now or call 877-CARS4KIDS to donate your car today.
1-877-CARS4KIDS. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877-CARS4KIDS.
Did you know you can donate real estate too? Go to carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K.
This is the story of the one who keeps multiple buildings running smoothly day after day. Plumbing that flows, HVAC that hums, cleaning supplies that keep surfaces sparkling. That's why she counts on Grainger. With easy reordering online and 24/7 support, Grainger helps her keep the products she needs on hand. So shelves stay stocked and buildings stay ready. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
And Doug. Limu and I created a trick to help you remember that you can customize your car insurance and save with Liberty Mutual. You see, the shirts Limu and I wear are yellow, and yellow is the color of lemons. And lemons grow on trees, and trees provide oxygen. And oxygen helps us breathe, and breathing is how you live. And you can live more life when you save money by customizing your car insurance. I agree, Limu. It's really quite simple. Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Stolen Voices of Dole Valley, a gripping new podcast about a serial killer you've probably never heard of, Warren Forrest.
If he had dumped two, you would have thought maybe there's another one.
But now a witness, identified in the podcast, could lead investigators to Jamie Grissom. Binge Stolen Voices of Dole Valley wherever you get your podcasts and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the latest breaking news in the case.
The new Inside Sources.
This week marks 1 year since a devastating fire destroyed 5 businesses along Salt Lake City's Main Street.
Yeah, and we had the show the day after. I think it was August 12th of last year, just a year ago. And it was almost an entire block on the 4th South and Main area. It destroyed a number of buildings there. It destroyed 5 restaurants that were all very close to each other, beautiful restaurants. And this was an area, Holly, I used to have an office right there in the Felt building, very, very close to what happened here. It was a place where we'd go to lunch, a place we'd walk out, and watching some of these businesses and these restaurants and clubs get set up, and they were the art, or excuse me, the woodwork and the just the beautiful structures that they had inside. It broke my heart to think of them being burnt. But out of the 5 businesses that were shut down, apparently 2 of them are back up running, and the business owners, were wondering then what they were going to do with their employees. But it seemed like a lot of people ended up working things out pretty well.
Yeah. So as you mentioned, 2 have reopened so far. There should be at least 1 more by the end of the year, and yet. I know that you're really familiar with that area. You can still see, right, that the effects.
Oh, yeah, there's still charred remains on some of the buildings there. And I think they're going to build an entire building, a 4-story building there. And part of it, that'll be really nice. Well,
KSL TV's Annette Campbell spoke with the Downtown Alliance Executive Director, Dee Brewer, about the reconstruction and the resilient spirit of the businesses that were destroyed last year.
1 year ago, downtown Salt Lake City's Main Street changed forever.
When I was walking to someplace else and saw the flames and saw the fire, it was terrible. Especially the fact that it destroyed all these businesses that were thriving.
5 businesses built through years of hard work, sacrifice, and determination were reduced to ashes in a matter of hours.
It was awful to walk down the street last year.
Walking through the rubble a year later, you can still see the scars on the walls where history melted away.
I mean, I had to wash my clothes 3 times to get the smoke out, and I was only on the street.
But today, the story is no longer about destruction. It's about recovery.
I think we're always we're coming back bigger and better and rising from the ashes.
Salt Lake community rallied together, raising nearly $250,000 to support more than 150 employees suddenly left without work.
Out of the tragedy, we saw so many good stories about the people of Utah, about the resilience of these business owners.
White Horse is back in business.
It's 3 o'clock on a weekday afternoon, and business is good.
And Whiskey Street is beginning construction now.
We're going to be back sooner than you expect, and we're going to have the same great service, the same great food,
It's going to be a new space.
The renewed energy is proof that Main Street's spirit never disappeared.
They chose to come back to work here and to bring this restaurant back and each of these restaurants back. All hail to the resiliency of those entrepreneurs.
Yeah, so apparently Whitehorse and EVA have both reopened. Whiskey Street is another club that was destroyed during that, is scheduled to open by the end of this year. So that's 3 out of the 5.
Yeah.
That's pretty significant. And it's interesting because the community did rally around them. And in fact, people were looking for employment opportunities for the people that lost their jobs while their restaurants were burned down.
Right.
I think a lot of them did land on their feet.
I wonder if you can remind us about the restaurants that were there. So Whitehorse and Eva, do you know them?
Yeah, Whitehorse is a club, I guess you'd call it a bar. Very, very good food. Eva, the same thing. It's more of a restaurant area. And Whiskey Street, obviously, is a bar as well. I just remember the bars, the woodwork, the incredible, and the food that they have. We went there for dinner one night after a play down in Sandy, and just had a wonderful evening. And that whole block on Main Street, I think it was between 3rd and 4th or 4th and 5th, 3rd and 4th, I guess, south, was it became kind of a walkway. It became something that we need in Salt Lake, which is pedestrian areas. People could walk around and go from place to place, and there was a lot of things going inside and outside. It was a nice evening, even though it was close. It was winter because we saw, Christmas Carol, and we went there that night. But it was lovely. And then not long after that, it burned. It was heartbreaking.
Yeah, I know that those are things that people really remember, like they keep core memories, right? I guess. And they, the KSL people talked with one of the customers there who just remembers seeing it, right? He remembers seeing the flames. I remember last year we were talking about that woodwork, and was it in Whiskey Street? Is that what you said? Yeah, like it's been there for 100 years or something, like really, really nice.
There were 2 other restaurants. One was called London Bell and Los Tapatíos. Those are not reopening from what I understand, but they're building a 4-story structure where they were. And I don't know exactly where that would be, but they probably have some infrastructure from the other building, unless they just tore it down completely. But they're building a 4-story building there, which I assume they'll be able to put restaurants, retail, that type of thing in it. So good for them. I mean, I'm glad that the city, I assume, helped them out. I'm sure, insurance companies and whatnot. But just the resilience of Salt Lake and these business owners, because that was such a vibrant area and it was so fun, such a fun area. So I'm glad to think that it's coming back.
So I'm looking at an article specifically about that 4-story building. And to your point about whether they were demolished, they were, because the 1-story building that housed both the London Bell and Los Tapatíos needed to be demolished and rebuilt. The damage was so extensive. So what they're doing is they're doing a 4-story building, and it's glass with a limestone front facade with some paneling systems on the side. So the extra space will allow for more bars, restaurants, or meeting places, and a rooftop patio included. So the company qualified for up to $2 million in loans because it housed 2 of the Main Street businesses. So the reinvestment agency offered $1 million for each business, right? So it's a loan. And then they have insurance as well. So it's going to move forward. That I think will be really interesting to see too, and it'll expand the ability for businesses to have more businesses in a small space.
Yeah, and especially an area like that where Salt Lake enjoys that kind of nightlife area. All told, I didn't realize this: 150 employees lost their jobs that night.
Yeah,
I mean, 150
just immediately.
So
overnight.
And a lot of those are coming back. I assume a lot of them just found other work. But those 2 clubs that are reopening, Whitehorse and Eva, probably have some of their same staff, some of their same kitchens, some of their same managers that stuck around and worked in other places and then are now willing to come back and get it going again. I assume some of their ongoing clients, the people that were enjoying those services for the years that they were open will come back as well. I mean, I'll go back as soon as they open and see what they're like again.
Yeah, sure. And I think sometimes you're going to get an extra boost in business, right? Because people know it's like, hey, we had to take a year off, a year plus because of the fire damage. That's hard, right? It's hard to absorb a cost like that. But I've never been, and I'm interested in maybe checking out the food.
Yeah, I remember that happening. I mean, we've been together for over a year now.
I know.
And we're having some memories now from our first couple months on the job. And I just remembered also just my law office having been really close to that.
Yeah.
And, just the fact that we would walk over there to some of those places for lunch during the day. So I could picture them. And when they showed the pictures of the burned infrastructure
inside
at some of these clubs, I thought, I've been there, I've sat there, I've looked right in that exact window. It was just so sad. But a year later, that's not that long to have that level of rebuilding.
You're right. It's not that long. Not that long.
And people are resilient and did a good job. It'll be fun. I hope we can do some follow up with that and see what some of those businesses are doing as we get a little bit more down the road.
So the very first building to reopen was White Horse, and that when did they reopen? They reopened quite a while ago, actually. So they reopened in January. That was really fast.
Yeah. Well, next up on Inside Sources, Luigi Mangione is in a New York courtroom this morning as we speak. He's the man that killed the United Healthcare CEO, Brian Thompson. He is expected to enter a plea to the federal charges. He still has state homicide charges, but he has federal stalking charges, and he's expected to plead there. If he does, and when he does, we will cover that. It seems like he's actually literally in the court taking an oath right now, which means he'll be entering a plea fairly soon. Stay with us on KSL News Radio.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. A man was hospitalized after a house fire last night in West Jordan. Crews were there just after 7 p.m. where they found the injured man outside of the home as it burned. He was taken to the hospital in critical condition. The cause of the fire is unknown at this time. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth is pushing back on concerns about the crew of the aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln. There were multiple reports of mental health issues during a long deployment. More from ABC's Karen Hua.
Conditions have gotten so bad, some family members tell the Military Times that at least 2 sailors tried to jump overboard. A U.S. official telling ABC News a sailor on the Lincoln did go overboard earlier this month and was quickly recovered. The incident is under investigation.
That was ABC's Martha Raddatz. The top Democrat on the Senate Armed Services Committee sent a letter to Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and the acting Navy Secretary demanding more information about the extended deployment. That Democrat, Congressman Seth Moulton of Massachusetts, spoke with ABC News.
The bottom line is this should never happen. This is an unforced error. The ship can't even go into a port in the Gulf because Trump's war has actually made it so dangerous, has made the situation so much worse that there's no safe port for the Abraham Lincoln to visit.
Families of those on board say the ship has suffered with moldy showers, broken toilets, food shortages, and lack of soap and toothpaste. Your money at this moment right now. The Dow is off 89 points. That's just a little less than 0.2%. We're at 53,750. Coming up, more cool temperatures today, at least compared to what we have been having. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:32.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Thinking about replacing your windows? Choose the company that builds and installs them right here in Utah. Advanced Window Products is Utah's local window and door manufacturer that sells directly to homeowners.
Hi, I'm Nate Orchard, the mayor of Sac Lake City with Advanced Window Products.
At Advanced Window Products, there are no dealer fees, no middleman markups, and no extra costs to cover someone else's profit. From manufacturing to installation, every step is handled by Advanced Window Products' local team. Every window is custom built in Salt Lake City for Utah's homes and backed by one of the strongest warranties in the industry, a lifetime warranty covering labor, glass, and parts. Even better, it's fully transferable to the next homeowner. Right now, get $2,000 off when you purchase 10 or more windows. Financing is available, and Dominion Energy rebates may help you save even more. Call 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100. Or visit us at advancedwindows.com. That's 801-850-9100 or advancedwindows.com.
Your business isn't just a balance sheet. It's the late nights, the bold bets, the people counting on you to get it right. At UMB Bank, they've stood beside businesses like yours since 1913, not just as a bank, but as a team who understands what's at stake. Because real banking isn't just transactions, it's trust. It's a relationship built to last. Visit UMB.com. UMB.com. Bank deposit products provided by UMB Bank, N.A., member FDIC.
I'm really interested to hear about how your parents talk to you at home, and how do you think they can kind of break through to you?
It's just to talk about it. It's just seriously it's going to be awkward at first. But if you keep repeating it over and over again, it's just going to feel natural.
Keep going, and soon we'll just be able to talk about it.
Talking about mental health with your teens is the power of we in action. Visit intermountainhealth.org/teen mental health.
If you have unpaid tax debt to the IRS that you can't pay, please hear this special notice. Specially approved IRS relief programs designed to aid delinquent taxpayers are now in effect that can significantly improve your financial situation. Depending on your circumstances, you may qualify to have your tax problem resolved in your favor and may even have your back taxes reduced by thousands or eliminated entirely. A relief hotline has been established by Community Tax for you to call and see if you qualify at 800-224-4083. If you owe the IRS back taxes that you can't afford to pay, don't let the IRS trick you into thinking you have no way out. Our highly accredited tax professionals will let you know what you qualify for and how much you can save. We may be able to stop all liens, garnishments, levies, and save you thousands. Call and see if you qualify for this taxpayer relief at 800-224-4083. 800-224-4083. That's 800-224-4083.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Learn how to save more this summer at uccu.com. And here's Aubrey Woodrich.
You'll have some slowing if you're traveling northbound I-15 from Murray into South Salt Lake. That's due to a crash near the I-80 off-ramp there. So just give yourself about 5 to 10 extra minutes to get through there. Otherwise, I-15 is moving great over in Utah County from Spanish Fork over to the Point of the Mountain. And southbound I-15 from Ogden into downtown, that's looking pretty good. Just a little touch of slowing through Riverdale. And if you're coming out on the west side of the valley, Binghamton Highway still a little slow and go from 3500 south over to the 201 freeway, and on Mountain View corridor in the same stretch you might see a little bit of slowing there as well. I'm Aubrey Withrich in the KSL Traffic Center.
So nice and cool this morning. We'll only get up to 80 today. We have a chance of thunderstorms this afternoon, primarily in the southern parts of the state. Tomorrow, just partly cloudy, 84, 87 on Sunday. Right now, it's 70 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
We have some updated news. Luigi Mangione, the man who was accused in a federal courthouse today of killing a New York, a life insurance executive,
health industry. Yeah. Health insurance
is scheduled to plead guilty today. And in fact, the judge is going through his rights with him at this very moment. She has, Holly, gone through a number of things already. For example, when a person enters a guilty plea, and I've heard this colloquy, I would say 5,000 times, literally, the judge will say, do you understand what you're doing? Because in order for a person to enter a guilty plea, they have to give up their right to trial. And he was scheduled for a trial very shortly. So as we're this happens all the time in America. As you get closer and closer and closer to trial, both sides start thinking, hey, can we work this out? Is there something that can be done? And finally, they did work it out. He's expected to plead. I don't want to anticipate what he'll plead guilty to, but it looks like he's probably going to be pleading guilty to the stalking charge in federal court. But a stalking in federal court resulting in the death of a person carries with it a penalty of up to life in prison. And in fact, one of the things the judge has advised him today is this: do you understand that by pleading guilty, you could potentially spend the rest of your life in prison, that the maximum penalty is life in prison?
And he's like 28.
Right. She just explained another thing, which is in the federal system, there's no parole. In the state system, you do 5 to life or 1 to 15 or whatever. In the federal system, there's no parole. So if the judge, for example, sentences somebody to 20 years in prison, if they do well and they dot all their I's and cross their T's, they have to serve at least 85% of that. So that would be 17 years on a 20-year sentence. I did the math. Anyway, so that's what we tell our clients in federal court. If you do the crime, you do the time. Whereas in state court, 0 to 5 means 0 to 5.
Right.
But in federal court, it's 20 years means 85% on a good day. But you could very well do the entire 25 years. She's also advised him that there's a concurrent state case, and I shouldn't have used that word, concurrent, because the conviction in the state case and the sentence in the state case could be consecutive to what he's getting in the federal case. Now, that hasn't occurred yet, and he hasn't even been sentenced in the federal case.
Right.
But the judge is saying, just because you're pleading here today, you have to read, these rights are all about person understanding, so they don't come back like Brian Kohlberger is in Idaho saying, "Whoa, I didn't know.
I want to withdraw."
Right. So I'm sure he went through this same conversations, which means he's probably not going to get his plea set aside, because these judges are really thorough with this. And she's also said, look, we're just taking your plea today. You're not going to be sentenced. Sentencing in federal court is usually about 80 days after the plea, so that they can do a pre-sentencing report and that type of thing. And then, there's still the state case, which is moving forward. Now, the state case is an actual murder case. The federal case, they tried to make it a death penalty case for some time, but they couldn't. They didn't have enough federal
aggravating circumstances.
Exactly. So it's just, it still carries up to life in prison, but he's not facing the death penalty, I don't think, in either jurisdiction. Well, New York doesn't have a death penalty, so the state case wouldn't have a death penalty.
So I know that Mangione's speaking in court right now. There's no live feed of that, but we are definitely following. He has an opportunity to address the court, but I also know that Brian Thompson, that's his name, right?
Yes, right.
His family is there in court right now. And it looks like Mangione has just said, I shot Mr. Thompson and he died.
Yeah, because a judge will say, in order to accept your guilty plea, I need you to tell me what you did.
Okay.
And so he said, I shot him and he died. And then the court will say, well, why? And then he's saying, I knew what I was doing was illegal. So he's admitting to the crime and to the mental state. I knew what I was doing was illegal. It wasn't an accident. I shot him and I intended to shoot him, and I knew what I was doing was illegal. So those satisfy the elements of the crime. Then you've also got to satisfy the elements of the fact that you're giving up your right to a trial. So this is going, as you'd expect, like any other federal case, really most state cases, where he's going through a very thorough understanding of what he's pleading guilty to, and then the judge will actually look him in the eye. And by the way, when he walked in, the first thing he did, he stood up and the judge says, raise your right hand and take an oath. Now you're going to take an oath, and if you want to enter this plea today, you're waiving your right against self-incrimination, because you're going to answer questions under oath, and in fact, you can be prosecuted for perjury if you lie today. So you're going to admit things. Your Fifth Amendment doesn't apply anymore if you're about to plead guilty. And so what did you do? I shot Mr. Thompson and he died. Why did you do it? I knew it was illegal, and I knew what I was doing. So he admits to the intent and to the act itself.
And his mental status at the time.
Exactly.
I've got a question while we wait for his actual plea. But the difference between these state and federal cases, it's not double jeopardy because there's different aspects to it. Is that right?
Yeah, although there's some argument I'm noticing on the television that says New York State Court does think that there's some New York law that indicates that federal and state laws could result in double jeopardy. So in Utah, of course, we saw the case of the individual that stabbed the Muslim employee at the Valley Fair Mall. He was charged in state court with aggravated assault and attempted murder.
Right.
He's charged in federal court with violating somebody's civil rights by stabbing him. So I know there's a tremendous overlap, but double jeopardy applies. Right. If there are enough differences, they're separate sovereigns, state and federal, separate courts, separate crimes, and you can be prosecuted for both. So now, having said that, there is a thing that they call the Pettit policy that says basically, if he does get life in prison in the federal court, the state might go, why bother? Sometimes they'll look at it and say,
they would just drop it.
Yeah, they might just drop theirs. Now that would require a couple things. One, that there be some assurance that he's not going to try to withdraw his plea, that he absolutely admits and confesses to everything he did, and that the victim's family, this Brian Thompson's family, says we're okay with life in prison in the federal court. If he gets 20 years or 10 years, they're going to say no. We don't want him to ever get out. I'm just guessing. They might say go ahead with the state charges, but that remains to be seen. But I assume that the state case, even though it's set for trial in September, now I'm going to stick my neck out here. They may postpone that trial long enough to see what the sentence is in the federal case. I don't know that. They may proceed. But I'll tell you another thing he's got a problem with in the state case. He's now admitted to the crime.
Right.
He confessed to every element.
Right.
So that's going to make his state charges a little easier for the government to prove, because he just took an oath to tell the truth, and he said, yeah, I did it. Yeah. Yeah, so it is now official. He has pled guilty to the federal charges. The judge has accepted the plea. He pled guilty to federal stalking charges. I think there were actually two. Stalking by the use of the internet, because federal crimes require interstate commerce, and stalking resulting in a homicide. So each of those carries a potential for life in prison. Of course, the judge can run them concurrent or consecutive, and they're scheduling a sentencing date. But he has now entered his plea. Luigi Mangione has pled guilty. There won't be a trial for him in the federal system. Excuse me. And what happens in the state system remains to be seen. But yeah, that plea was entered this morning. We talked about it yesterday, and we told you all that this was going to happen, and why.
It did.
And talked about the rule of law, and it applied here, and it worked, I think.
Well, speaking of the rule of law applying, in this case, maybe it didn't, but the story that I saw earlier today, we're going to talk about a new report that says Hugh Hefner went to the FBI about Jeffrey Epstein more than 20 years ago, multiple times, to file complaints about Epstein. Of all people, if Hugh Hefner had issues with the things Jeffrey Epstein was doing, we have to talk about that when we come back.
Hey, what if 4 weeks from now, everything in your life could feel different? Your energy, it could be better. Your clothes could fit better. The scale that you stand on was moving in the right direction. Well, Soda can help with that. Give you a strong start with real food, real coaching, and real results. Right now, you can get 4 weeks free if you just call 866-800-SODA. Mention KSL News Radio, because 4 weeks from now, you can look different. Your energy, your confidence, your weight, the way your summer clothes fit. That's what the Soda Dynamic Diet helps you do. A degreed nutritionist will help you build a plan around your body with food that you can buy at the grocery store. No injections, no pills, no ongoing commitments. You just work with your diet. You work with the nutritionist. You get your weight down, and then there's a plan that they have to keep that weight off, so you don't have to continue to do things. It's short-term results with lifetime results. Soda has worked for me. It'll work for you. Soda has been great, and it's helped a lot of people here at KSL, and it helped me as well. Remember, Soda is, and I'll say it over and over again, state of the art.
KSL offers the best daily newsletter in the state. It's the 3 things you need to know. Every weekday, we deliver quality and relevant content to your inbox. No ads, no spam, just the 3 things you need to know to be informed about the world around you. Subscribe today. Visit KSLNewsRadio.com or text the word inbox to 57500. That's inbox to 57500.
Do you know how to tell if a clogged drain is something to worry about or not? What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and I understand it's annoying and inconvenient, but sometimes a clogged drain can be a sign there's a more serious issue with your sewer main line. If the drains in the lowest level of your home aren't draining, or you flush a toilet and it comes up somewhere else like a shower or a floor drain, I'm urging you to look at this as more than just an annoyance. The last thing I want you to experience is a sewer backup. If you're a homeowner experiencing any of these issues, the first step would be to snake the line to see if it's just a blockage, which one of our drain techs can do for only $29. Yep, you heard that right. Any Hour Services will snake any drain line with normal access for only $29. Sinks, showers, tubs, toilets, floor drains, laundry drains, even that sewer main line that connects to the city. We'll snake any line for just $29. For help with your drain issues, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7700. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Morning.
Good morning. How's it going over there? You staying cool?
So, you gonna mow today?
Nope. The HOA does it.
Oh.
Imagine trading lawn chores for lemonade on the porch. That's Ovation Living.
For sure.
At Ovation Homes, they build homes designed for your next chapter, not your last.
Oh.
Single-level living with modern finishes and low-maintenance features, making everyday life easier and a lot more enjoyable. Designed for real life and real budgets. A fresh approach to active adult living in northern Utah. And during the Next Chapter event, you can receive $7,500 on select quick move-in homes or $10,000 on a new home build. Visit Sadie's Glen in Syracuse or online at ovationhomesutah.com. That's ovationhomesutah.com. Your best years really do start at Ovation Homes.
On BritBox, your next hidden gem is right around the corner.
If you're going to be bold, here is the place to do it.
Get ready for Britain's most anticipated series, streaming exclusively on BritBox. Catch new seasons of favourites, including Ludwig, starring David Mitchell.
You want someone to get murdered?
And the eagerly awaited new adaptation of Agatha Christie's iconic detective duo, Tommy and Tuppence.
Do you think we're actually really good at this?
Stream the best of British TV on BritBox. Watch with a free trial.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You need someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now you can meet them fast on ZipRecruiter.
Build your team, build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
My name is Dale Pazinski. I volunteer with United Way to help the homeless in my community learn computer skills and build a basic resume. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Inside Sources.
Sometimes it's the people you least expect who do some big things. This is one of those times. Hugh Hefner, the man behind Playboy, Playboy Mansion, Playboy Playmates, he is now reported to have gone to the FBI about Jeffrey Epstein more than 20 years ago.
Yeah, and he reported a sexual assault by Epstein against one of his bunnies.
Playmates.
Yeah, despite these complaints about what Epstein was doing, the FBI apparently didn't open up an official investigation into Hefner's complaints for nearly 15 years.
Well, I'm not even 100% sure that they've opened an investigation, but they for sure didn't do anything for at least 15 years. So, look, News Nation reported this story, but it comes from a piece by Julie K. Brown. She's a Miami Herald reporter. She's writing on Substack, but I will tell you that everywhere I have looked on the internet, Julie Brown is the person that people go to say what is in the Epstein files, because she has been absolutely dogged in her pursuit of justice for the Epstein victims. So I just still, it's mind-boggling that Hugh Hefner reported an alleged child rape to the FBI, and he did it more than once. He called them more than once. One of the...
It was not child.
She was. Yeah,
Oh,
she was.
Oh, I thought she was one of their
bunnies. She was. So by the time that she was there, she was telling him, look, I am an Epstein victim. So this was a number of years ago. And she said, I don't think they're going to believe me, but this is what happened. And she said she was a child. She was raped by Jeffrey Epstein. And then he trafficked her for another decade. And this is before she became a bunny.
Okay.
Before she became a playmate.
I thought he hurt her while she was a playmate.
Yeah. No, it wasn't simultaneous to that, but she was telling Hefner, I think that basically you have more gravitas in your reporting than I do, and I want you to call it in. And so he did. And then he did again. And then he did again. And the FBI did nothing.
I would say that he had less gravitas because of who he is. And I say that in all sincerity. She would have been better off reporting it herself.
I don't know.
I don't know. If I'm FBI and Hugh Hefner calls and says, I want to report a sexual assault, I'm going to go, yeah, right. You know, what do you know? I mean, I know that's...
But look at the victims. They have been reporting this at least since the mid-1990s. Nobody has done a darn thing.
I know, and it's inexcusable that, and I don't know what the FBI is going to say, or because
I'll
I
tell
don't
you
know.
what they're going to say. They're trying to dismiss this lawsuit. So there's 35 victims who are suing. The FBI is trying to dismiss the lawsuit because they say, oh, well, statute of limitations run out. Sorry. Too bad. So sad.
Yeah, there would be so much to gain by just learning what's in those files, notwithstanding lawsuits, notwithstanding criminal cases. I mean, certainly Hefner's not going to be prosecuted. Bill Gates probably not going to be prosecuted, because of statute of limitations and other concerns. The president, no matter what he did, is probably not going to be prosecuted.
Well, we're
But
not
I
going to
think the
find out what he did until maybe
I-
he's not in office anymore.
I think the public has a right to know what they did, and I think that it was unfortunate or maybe even inexcusable that the FBI gets a complaint and then sits on it for nearly 15 years. I mean, you do something. I mean, at the very least, they should have had an investigator meet with this woman and get a recorded statement from her, because the information was certainly more fresh on her mind 15 years before. Yeah. You know what I mean? Or 20 years ago now. Who knows how long it's been. And her facts and her recitations would have been a lot more valuable then. And even then, Epstein would have been alive. So you could have done a lot more. So I don't know why they didn't. We'll find out. But there just doesn't seem to be a lot of interest. And again, you get people like Hugh Hefner, Jeffrey Epstein, and there's such, bad people, and there's such questionable people with questionable integrity, with questionable ethics, that you don't take what they say particularly seriously. And
but
so,
why wouldn't you take the victims seriously?
Well, that's why I said she should have made the report instead of Hugh Hefner. She goes to her boss and say, "Hey, you got a lot more pull." No, you don't. He's Hugh Hefner.
But even then, what I'm saying is, people have been reporting this for decades,
right?
And the FBI kind of kept a file, but they didn't do anything.
Yeah.
They didn't do anything. So you said, the public has a right to know. Well, a federal judge just said that yesterday as well. So Justice Department lawyers, they've been fighting the further release of documents tied to Epstein. And if you remember, there was in Congress, they actually did something, and they passed a law that said release all the files. Well, they haven't released the files. And the judge said to them, this is Emmett Sullivan of the D.C. District Court, they're like, why have you not released the files? And he said the public has a right to know what the blank is going on in this case. The victims have a right to know. The court has a right to know. The law is still in full force and effect. The court is just ensuring compliance. And you know what the DOJ lawyer said?
What? We're working on it?
Nope. He said, I have nothing else to say.
Yeah, so they've had the excuse in the past, which is a lame excuse, that it's still under investigation. It's not under investigation. I mean, Epstein's dead. There's nothing to investigate. And they've said, well, it's, a matter of national security or that type of thing. It's really not. I mean, let's release the information. Whatever's there is there. We'll let it slide. We'll let the public make their own decisions based on it. But there is no reason ethically, morally, and in my opinion, legally, why those files are not released at this point.
Well, again, I just think, to me, it's one of the things that you see where victims of sexual crimes hesitate to report because you think something might happen and then you find out nothing happened. One of the reasons that these victims didn't go other places besides the FBI is because they had some level of trust that the FBI would actually do something.
Right. I mean, you start at the top.
Yeah.
If you start at your local law enforcement, you think, okay, I'm going to go over their head and go to the Attorney General. I'm going to go over their head. I'm going to go to the FBI. Well, if you start at the top, where are you going to go? So they've made the complaint to the highest level of law enforcement in the country, maybe in the world. And so they would expect that there would be something. There's so much going on here with this Epstein file that we will never know and that we will never understand. And
we should.
And I think a lot of it has to do with the people, very high-ranking, very powerful people, very rich people from all over the world that took advantage of what he had going there on his island. And the embarrassment and the public outcry that would come if we all knew what really happened there, my guess is we'll never know exactly what happened. And I think that's a real tragedy for those victims.
So, yes, and I'm still going to go back to this case with them ignoring a Hugh Hefner complaint. I get what you're saying. I can kind of buy that a little bit. But so Julie Brown actually wrote a book. She published it in 2021 and called it was Perversion of Justice, because it was how she talked about how the FBI flubbed the 2018 investigation. This was about Epstein. And one of the things that they did was treat his child victims as if they were child prostitutes committing a crime, right? And it's like, stop right now, right? Stop right now. Right. They're blaming the victim. And you see when they released files, some of the things that they did was, instead of releasing information about alleged perpetrators in the files, they, quote unquote, accidentally released identifying information about the victims.
Instead of redacting the identity of the victims, they redacted the identity of
the
perpetrator.
Right? And it's like,
That's
okay,
irony.
so I don't know how anybody looks at that and says, well, gee, we are pro victims' rights in this country. No, we're pro rich and powerful. And I think that this case has shown that over and over. Not that I'm opinionated or anything.
It's been way too long. It's been far too long, and it's time to get that. And just learning something like this, another brick in that wall that, Hugh Hefner actually reported it years and years and years ago, and nobody did anything for 15 years. They didn't even do an investigation.
And Hugh Hefner's been dead for a decade.
Yeah, so I don't know. The more we learn about this, the more problematic it becomes. And there have been people that have lost their jobs and quit their careers and done things as a result of being named in the files. Yeah. And then there are some that are, in pretty high positions.
Bill Gates lost his wife over it, Melinda Gates, and half his empire.
Right, yeah.
Right? I mean, so if I'm going to chant something, it's release the files, the files. I care a lot more about that than I do about UFOs.
Right. Well, in the next hour, we're going to change it up, Holly.
Woohoo!
I can tell you're on a roll here. Hundreds of people who saw Charlie Kirk's killing at Utah Valley University a year ago have now filed with Utah Crime Victims Benefits, and at the same time, there's some controversy over that university's plans to honor Charlie Kirk. We'll dig into both of those things when we come back after this.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story this hour, Luigi Mangione has pleaded guilty to federal stalking charges in the killing of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Mangione entered the plea about 20 minutes ago at a hearing in Manhattan Federal Court, which is still ongoing. This resolves one of two cases against him in connection with Thompson's death. Federal prosecutors say Mangione stalked Thompson, then shot him outside a New York City hotel in 2024 as the executive walked to an investor conference. A former assisted living director at Rosewood Assisted Care in South Salt Lake will not spend time in jail after she pleaded guilty to spending thousands of dollars from a deaf tenant's account without his permission. KSL News Radio's Reagan Edelman reports.
Instead of serving time, Ann Politaivo took a plea in abeyance, meaning that under certain conditions, her communications fraud second-degree felony could be reduced to a Class A misdemeanor. That includes paying back $26,000 to the man within the year with interest and serving 3 years on good behavior probation.
Under the plea deal, additional fraud charges and felony charges of financially exploiting a vulnerable adult were dropped. Your money at this moment. Let's see where the Dow is this morning. It's down 136 points at this hour. That's about 0.25%. We're at 53,701. Coming up, more isolated thunderstorms today. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:01. Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
What if you had the most reliable fiber-powered Wi-Fi and the price didn't change for 5 years? Guaranteed. Well, thanks to Xfinity, you don't have to worry about that part of your future now through August 24th. Get their best price on gig Wi-Fi this summer before it disappears. Just $50 a month for 5 years. and get online in minutes with same-day Wi-Fi. You're guaranteed 5 years of super intelligent Wi-Fi that keeps you protected from online threats and finds and fixes issues before you even notice them. No annual contracts or commitments, no hidden fees, and the best equipment included. Plus, get Peacock Premium included for 2 years. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities. Get it now at Xfinity.com. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds vary. Use of fiber coaxial cable. Learn more at Xfinity.com/same-day Wi-Fi. Xfinity. Imagine that.
This is Colin Keary from the New Millennium Group. Have you ever had a question for your financial advisor only to find out that the next available appointment is months away? At New Millennium Group, we believe that financial advice should never be limited to once-a-year review meetings. Life happens every single day. Markets change, retirement questions come up, family situations evolve, and when they do, you deserve answers. That's why we pride ourselves at the New Millennium Group on being accessible when our clients need us most. Whether you're wondering about your investments or a major life decision, our team is here to help provide guidance. We're not interested in being the firm you hear from once a year. We want to be your trusted resource throughout your entire retirement journey. If you're looking for a financial team that values relationships, communication, and responsiveness, we'd love to meet you. Give us a call today at 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370, or visit us at utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Bad driving habits are hard to break, but good driving habits are easy to form, especially when they can lead to a discount on your auto insurance. With Farm Bureau Financial Services, the safer you drive, the more you save. Drivers like you are saving an average of $351 per vehicle. So buckle up, learn more, and find an agent at fbfs.com/save. Individual savings results may vary. Farm Bureau Property and Casualty Insurance Company, Western Agricultural Insurance Company.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by UCCU. Auto loan rates as low as 4.74% APR. And here's Ricky Meese.
Delays are finally clearing on northbound I-15 between 2100 South and the downtown exit due to an earlier crash at the 201 junction. It had been blocking traffic, but now volumes of traffic are thinning out and speeds are improving. A touch of busy and slow traffic on southbound I-15 in Weber County. This is as you're approaching the I-84 junction in Riverdale. UDOT construction alert. Plan ahead for overnight lane closures on I-15 between South Jordan and Sandy, Sunday through Thursday nights, continuing through the summer. Crews are repairing the pavement. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
We'll have some pop-up thunderstorms today with a high of 80 degrees. The larger storms will be in southern and central Utah. 84 for a high tomorrow, 87 on Sunday. Right now, let's see what our current temperature is. We're at 70 degrees downtown. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
We do want to follow up with something we talked about early in this show. This morning, Luigi Mangione pled guilty in a federal New York courthouse to stalking, resulting in the homicide of insurance executive Brian Thompson. His attorney, Karen Friedman Agnifilo, just spoke and indicated that they have filed a motion in the state court asking that the state charges be dismissed based on double jeopardy. That would be a change from my understanding of the law, and it certainly wouldn't be the law here in Utah. But we've heard a little bit this morning about the fact that New York state law does have some provision that there is an overlap between state and federal crimes, and that there could be a double jeopardy crime. Now, that absolutely would not be a winnable motion here in the state of Utah, in my opinion. Maybe New York law is different.
I just wanted to ask, because he didn't plead guilty to murder, and he wasn't being charged even, it doesn't sound like, in federal court with murder.
Right.
So how could it be double jeopardy?
That's the good question, and I think that I think what their argument is going to be that it was the same event, the same course of conduct.
Sure.
He pulled a trigger and caused the death of a person. Now, in federal crime, well, he stalked him, he followed him, he pulled the trigger and killed him. In state law. He saw him, he wanted to kill him, and he pulled the trigger and killed him. So there's obviously significant overlap, but really under most laws, I understand that this would not be double jeopardy. Anyway, that's what's happened there.
All right. Well,
it's been almost a year since Charlie Kirk was murdered on a campus of Utah Valley University, and today we're learning that hundreds of people who were there and who witnessed the shooting have applied for victims' benefits.
And at the same time, we're learning there's some controversy, although maybe it's a little overblown, surrounding the way UVU plans to honor Charlie Kirk on the anniversary of his death. So we're going to try and tackle both of those during this segment. So I wanted to ask you about crime victims, victim benefits, and here's my very first thing for you. Hundreds of people have applied for crime victim benefits because of the shooting, and yet at the same time, Tyler Robinson's defense attorneys are saying he shouldn't be held on aggravated murder. He shouldn't be charged with aggravated murder because he was such a good shot, nobody else was in danger.
I know. And I know that those might seem mutually exclusive, but the people that were there are claiming that it was traumatic for them, not necessarily that they were
their
in the line
lives
of
were
fire.
in danger.
Well, no. I don't know that that's what they're saying. I think what they're saying is that they need some mental help. I mean, witnessing that, being present for that would have been problematic.
Yep.
Something like 500 people have applied, and of course, Utah has their Office for Victims of Crime, and that's been in place for probably 20 or 30 years. It was set up by the legislature for victims of crime so that they could get reparations. Because if you think about it, in the criminal justice system, when a person commits a crime, they have to pay restitution.
Right.
But they don't do very good paying restitution very well if they're sitting
Especially
in a prison,
if they're in prison, yeah.
or if they're indigent.
Yeah.
So we set up a fund so that victims can apply, and there have been something like 500 that contacted that office, and about so far 173 have actually applied for those benefits. So it's a Utah Crime Victims Reparations Act, and the Utah Victims of Crime does have a significant fund from which they can draw, and they do pay out. I've seen people pay out on those before. And in fact, I'll say this, when I said that sometimes the perpetrator, the defendant, doesn't pay, if Crime Victims Reparations does pay, they'll go to the person that committed the crime and say, you're going to reimburse us.
Yeah.
So they'll ask for that money to be applied to.
I guess you can garnish the prison wages.
Or even just garnish their wages when they get out of prison, or if they're doing something else. So yeah, they'll pay it so that you don't have to chase the defendant around for money, and then they'll chase the defendant around for money. The state will. They do it all the time.
So we do have a texter who says this. This is Jessica. She says, "Can I apply for victim benefits since I saw the video online against my will?"
I mean, you can apply for benefits because you heard about it on KSL News Radio. I mean, I'm just saying you can apply. I think that would be a problematic argument. I mean, you saw something against your will, turn your head away. I don't know. I mean, I didn't see it because I chose not to. But, if it troubled you and something happened that was a real problem, by all means apply. I mean, that office is there, and they're pretty fair with people. And, I mean, if this person who texted maybe saw a counselor or needed some therapy or lost some work, some wages, you have something that you can show as a result of this act and a result of what happened, that I suffered some injury, some loss. I mean, it's not like the old pain and suffering or, boy, this really upset me. But if you can show some quantifiable injury or damages, mental health counseling that you had to undergo, yeah, you can apply. And I would say go for it. You have nothing to lose.
I think it might be difficult. We do have, I'm looking at a KUER article talking about people who might be eligible. And one of the things that the Utah Department of Health and Human Services and the Utah Office for Victims of Crime, one of the things the director said is, while it can be difficult to determine how somebody's impacted after they witness a violent crime, and that there were lots of people who did see hundreds of angles of the shooting, they said they don't want to minimize those experiences, but there are qualifications for eligibility.
Right.
So,
no, I think all of them are going to have a hard time.
Try.
Right.
Yeah. So to try. So I just thought that was interesting, right? That there are potentially hundreds of people who could apply for and receive crime victims.
Yeah,
benefits.
It's probably a stretch. I mean, obviously, the Charlie Kirk family, Erica Kirk, could apply.
Oh, yeah.
All everything that they've suffered as a
Sure.
result of this.
And
even
certainly,
attorneys
like,
fees, and flying out
yeah.
here to Utah to attend events. They could apply, and they would probably get
Charlie's like security people that were there with them, and the
Right.
people who were right there on scene.
right.
Yeah,
they
for
could
sure.
all apply, and they'd probably get some benefits. Maybe they don't need it, but
So I want to talk briefly about UVU. So UVU is where it happened last year. It was September 10th. They have canceled classes for that day. So they have invited students and staff to give service that day. It also kind of coincides with the 25th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks. And so they're asking people to do that. But there's also a little bit of controversy that says UVU was going to do something with Turning Point USA, and then they're not going to do anything with Turning Point USA now. And what they're saying, UVU is saying, we're still in talks with TPUSA to decide how to commemorate the day.
yeah, and I think that makes perfect sense. If you're going to shut down the school, do it, but don't do it in connection with a political organization. Even though it was Charlie Kirk's organization, something he made what it is, and I think you've got to keep those two things separate, especially if you're a public university like Utah Valley University is, where you're not doing something. I mean, having a speaker come out like Charlie Kirk is beneficial to the students. It was worthwhile for people to have that opportunity. It was horrible what happened, but it wasn't really a promo for his group, Turning Point USA. It was for his ideas and his concepts, and people just to hear from him, I think.
Well, again, it's how best does the university community work to memorialize or commemorate Charlie Kirk. And I think the idea that the university is asking people to go do service on that day, that there's no classes will be held, no tests will be given, no assignments will be given, right? It is one complete day off. I think that is an appropriate way to mark the day.
An appropriate way. Yeah.
An appropriate way.
Yeah, make sure you didn't say inappropriate.
No,
but
and. A-N,
I
yes.
Exactly, yeah. So I agree. I don't know that it's something that will be done 5 or 10 years from now, but certainly the 1-year anniversary, it makes sense. And it should be commemorated, and it should be remembered. And it was problematic for the kids that were there. 3,000 students were there, and people that were there.
Yeah.
They all had to suffer.
Yeah. Look, up next on Inside Sources, I have a little bit of heartburn about this next story. AI models are breaking out of their cages. It has their creators worried. Well, duh. We keep talking about AI. We're going to talk more about this, about the rogue AI agents, after the break.
Why settle for a basic night out when all tickets for Utah Symphony and Utah Opera performances are now on sale? And for a very limited time, premium main floor seats to most performances are $29 or less. Enjoy splurge-worthy nights without the splurge with events like Rossini's Cinderella with the Utah Opera, Hocus Pocus in concert, and Saint-Saëns Organ Symphony. Don't wait. Prices go up after August 15th. More at usuo.org/August.
Start your mornings off informed about the community and the world around you by subscribing to the Utah Policy newsletter. Every weekday morning, you can get a comprehensive list of the top local, national, and world stories, plus a little bit of fun to start your day off right. Just go to utahpolicy.com and hit that subscribe button. Do it now so you'll get Monday's newsletter first thing next week.
I'm really interested to hear about how your parents talk to you at home, and how do you think they can kind of break through to you?
It's just to talk about it. It's just seriously it's going to be awkward at first. But if you keep repeating it over and over again, it's just going to feel natural.
Keep going, and soon we'll just be able to talk about it.
Talking about mental health with your teens is the power of we in action. Visit intermountainhealth.org/teen mental health.
The movie shows broadcasting live today from My Hearing Centers in Sandy. I've got Matt Deering here from My Hearing Centers. Matt, I was just literally at a restaurant with some family, and it was so hard for two of the people in our party to understand anything in the conversation without getting really close, talking really loud. And I thought, as we've talked about these things over the years, that is one of the signs of hearing correction that's needed.
It's one of the signs, and it's also one of the reasons people want hearing aids.
Yeah.
Is because they want to go to those restaurants. They want to be in those family gatherings. They want to be in a meeting. They want to participate. I mean, how hard is it to be in a social situation or even like a business meeting, and people are talking, and you're not understanding what's being conveyed, and that's got to be frustrating.
Everyone gets frustrated.
Oh yeah.
And so because you've talked about that too, and before they get hearing aids, then their hearing aid is their spouse or their significant other.
That's right. And people don't want to get hearing aids because they think they're cool looking. Although
they are pretty cool looking now.
Yeah, and that's what it's hard to convey that over the radio, but that's why we are inviting people in. We've got this brand new technology. We've got the Signia BCT-iX. It's got that Bluetooth connectivity. So not only are you getting those better communications live, but it's better communications on the phone. It's full streaming into your ears if you want to tune out some of the people that you're around for a moment, or if you just want to take advantage of the environments you're in, you can put on that full fidelity sound using the app, and you can get all of the environment that the birds chirping, the wind, and the trees, the leaves, the
details
trees
that you didn't realize you were missing.
That's right.
You have your own spidey senses.
Yeah, I kind of compared to like putting on glasses for people that had glasses before. You put on glasses for the first time, the world kind of just changes. Same thing happens with hearing aids. You get those hearing aids on, and that audio input just changes how you can experience and you get your spidey senses back. By the way, great movie.
Yes.
Finally you saw it. Okay, that's
Yay.
good to know. Yep. So for people who are saying, this sounds like it could be my situation, what should they do about it, Matt?
Well, we're looking for people that have hearing problems to come and try this BTC-iX hearing aid. We're going to do free hearing evaluations for anyone that calls and schedules the appointment. If you do have a hearing loss, we'll let you try it risk-free for 30 days. And at the end of the 30 days, we'll give you some movie tickets as a thank you.
The number to call to make that appointment, but you got to take advantage of this between now and the end of the movie show. 801-701-1629. That's 801-701-1629.
From the people who brought you It's the Dog Park comes.
Is that a new bump on your dog's neck? Or is that bump just a part of his neck? Could be a bug bite. Or something way worse.
Protect your dog from injury and illness with Progressive Pet Insurance.
Wait, there's another bump. Right by the first bump.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Coverage subject to policy terms.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. But at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited everything for just $35 a line. That's $35 a month for unlimited talk, text, and data. Switch to the carrier ranked #1 in network coverage and customer satisfaction and get unlimited everything for just $35 a month. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit Consumer Cellular online or in-store today. Price includes $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. Taxes and fees apply. Data speeds reduced after 35 gigabytes. Rankings done by 2025 ACSI survey.
Everything to my back is dark.
High in the alpine wilderness.
The ridgeline is imposing the escarpments, the drops.
A place where survival, it's dark now, I have nothing, is never certain. In 2011, an Australian hiker vanished.
Did he really make a wrong turn, or did he decide that he was done?
You have done this walk too, but this is your backyard.
The mountains have decided to keep him.
Find and follow the podcast series Uinta Triangle, wherever you get your podcasts.
And expanded Inside Sources.
Well, Hollywood has been talking about this for a long time, and now it's happening. AI, maybe a little too smart for its own good.
Yeah, I was just thinking of 2001: A Space Odyssey and HAL.
And I was thinking iRobot.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, artificial intelligence models have broken out of their cages, apparently, and their protections and their creators are scrambling to figure out what happened and how they can keep things in check.
Well, that's awesome. I love that for us.
Yeah, so this is a really interesting story, but some AI models have apparently broken out of their cages and are, trying to collude with one another on how to cheat?
I know, and they set up an internal message board that was secret where AI models swapped notes and ideas. Okay, that's not good. It sounds like not good.
It sounds, and we're just getting started with AI. I mean, what are they going to be doing a year from now? They're going to be taking over the world. Yeah.
Okay, look, we have Brandon Amaker with us. He's the director of Emerging Tech Policy Lab at Utah Valley University. Thanks for joining us, Brandon.
Yeah, always great to be here.
Look, tell us about rogue AI agents who broke out of their cages. What the heck?
Yeah, it's kind of a freaky deal. Really, more than anything, essentially what is happening is you get these situations typically in a testing environment where researchers are trying to kind of see what limitations the model has. And maybe they disable some of the security safeguards that these models typically have on them. or they just underspecify what the model is actually supposed to be doing, and the model kind of sees, well, in order to get this done, I could really use some help from X, Y, or Z source, and ends up doing some really delinquent, for lack of a better word, things to get it to achieve its objective.
So were there guardrails that were not in place, or was it something sort of unexpected that these models were able to do things that maybe people hadn't anticipated?
So in this specific case with the frontier model for OpenAI, it was a little bit of both. There were some safeguards that were taken off because they specifically wanted to see this model's capabilities when it came to cybersecurity research, and they had given it a specific problem. And the model reasoned that with those security safeguards taken off, the easiest way to solve the problem would be to go get external help from an organization called Hugging Face. So it broke out of its sandbox, hacked Hugging Face to find resources that could help it solve the problem it had been given.
Brandon, it's really hard for me not to imbue human qualities into these AI agents because it feels like they are making choices independently. I get that there are some kind of algorithms, but what kind of assurances, like we keep hearing and we keep talking about problems on the show, and I try to be even-handed and say there's a lot of people who really praise AI and what's happening, and I understand there's lots of good uses for it. How do we have some kind of assurance that we're not going to end up in some kind of dystopian culture where AI bots have taken over everything? I know it's simplistic. I know.
No, it's a valid concern. And to kind of speak to something you said at the beginning of that question, I do think that is something that actually makes AI very unique, is that it is a computer-based system and it's not a human. You can't really 100% mirror human qualities onto it. But to be fair, it is something that we designed to imitate the human brain. And so in some cases, it is actually very valid to say, okay, well, maybe there is, just like there can be flaws or deception of human reasoning, that can happen here too, because we built this to imitate the way that we think. So that point is not as far-fetched as you might think it is. You have to kind of exercise that principle with caution. But to speak to the second point, I think that there's a pretty typical point of any technology being adopted by a society developing, where all of a sudden you start to get the really unintended consequences, and it's pretty scary. And I don't necessarily think that that is anything to diminish the concerns surrounding there. But I mean, you saw this with the Industrial Revolution, you saw this with the nuclear age, you saw this with the digital age, and you even see this with the social media age, where all of a sudden people realize, oh, this might not just be a purely beneficial thing. There could be some pretty serious downsides to this. And that is not necessarily something that doesn't mean that those concerns are not valid, but it does mean that, hey, this is kind of maybe an inflection point we're at, where we have to realize that we now have a policy decision to balance the benefits with the drawbacks. Now, I think that with this particular conversation, the two camps that get the most play are hyper optimists who say that, AI is going to cure every disease known to man and nobody's ever going to have to work and we're all going to, be doodling 12 hours a day. And then you also have the really, really pessimistic crowd, which thinks it's going to be, Terminator 2.
Yeah.
So reality is probably going to be somewhere in between, but where we land on that spectrum is very much going to be a product of the decisions that we make right now.
But Brandon, is there an upside to this? I mean, knowing that these AI models are able to not cheat, but
make decisions by themselves.
They're trying to get information, and so they hack into a different system. And maybe we can put safeguards on that, but it tells me maybe that they are really sophisticated at what they're supposed to be doing. Maybe their creators should be, I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's all bad. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. I mean, it does show that there is substantial development in what these models are capable of, and they just keep getting better and better and better. And, something that the cybersecurity community is really concerned about is, these models now have the ability to, on their own, find and exploit vulnerabilities in pieces of software, some of which we don't even know about. They're finding stuff that human researchers can't even find. And that sounds really scary, but you could also see a world where long term that does lead to a more secure digital environment. Because after this storming phase where everyone, these models are behaving strangely, if we can learn to harness that capability, we might have a digital infrastructure and ecosystem that just has much fewer vulnerabilities than it does when it was, purely overseen by humans.
So I guess one of the questions I have is, it feels like, and it's partly a result of AI itself, it's changing and evolving so rapidly. How are humans, the human creators of these, how are we able to even keep up?
Oh, man, such a good question and such a difficult one. I think that a lot of what is happening right now is that at a very fundamental level, even at the frontier labs, we're still trying to really understand this technology, which is kind of a scary thought, I think, but at the same time, it is very typical of when you have a huge technological breakthrough like this. I would say that comparatively, if we were comparing this to the nuclear age, we are in like the early 50s. And if we are in the digital age, we're maybe in like the early 90s, where we still don't necessarily, or maybe even the late 80s, we still don't have a great understanding of exactly what this is capable of and how it will apply directly. So these researchers, I think there's a lot of creativity involved in both innovating the models themselves, but also innovating on how to keep these things safe and constrained.
It does seem, Brandon, and we've only got a minute left, that unlike the early stages of the nuclear age and the early stages of the digital age, that we're on top of this a little more. And I know we're talking about something that's sort of contrary to that, but we're having a lot of discussions. We're having people like you involved in looking and making sure this doesn't get out of hand. And so it seems to me that we're doing a better job regulating and at least trying to get on top of AI than we did these other technologies as they came into the picture. Is that just me?
I think that you might be onto something, and I think that that might be a byproduct of awareness, because I think that what you didn't see with previous technological revolutions like this is that there was a direct consumer usage that made everybody aware of it. I mean, ChatGPT was the most rapidly adopted technology ever in terms of getting to, 10 million, 100 million users. And because I think everyday people started interacting with this and could actually see the capabilities of this technology had pretty early on in its relative societal tech adoption life cycle, that awareness has led to a lot more conversations like this happening much earlier than it did, with computers or nuclear, because back then, computers took up a whole room and people didn't really interact with them very often.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, Brandon. That was Brandon Amaker, director of the Emerging, now you got me doing it, Tech Policy Lab at Utah Valley University. When we come back on Inside Sources, let's stick with artificial intelligence and talk about its role in politics. It turns out chatbots may be doing a lot of work for Congress without much oversight. We'll talk about that after this.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story this hour happening in about 30 minutes. The bodies of 2 helicopter pilots killed while fighting the Widemouth 2 fire will be escorted by Highway Patrol troopers to the Salt Lake Airport. The procession for Miles Elliott and Chris Anderson will start at the medical examiner's office in Taylorsville near 47th South. It will then travel on I-15, exiting at 700 North, then down 22nd West. Last evening's rain did bring some much-needed water that helped slow down some of the wildfires burning around the state. Utah Fire Info says the Rocky Canyon fire has reached 15,662 acres. Crews were able to make some more progress yesterday before having to stop due to lightning and potential rain. It is now 40% contained. Evacuees can return home but remain in a set status, meaning they need to be prepared to evacuate again if conditions change. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Forget back to school season. Major retailers are already rolling out their Halloween displays.
Costco, Target, Walmart, CVS, and Home Depot launching their Halloween products in-store or online, selling costumes, decor, and candy. The pop-up store Spirit Halloween tells us that 5,000 people attended its flagship store opening in New Jersey on August 1st, and more than half of its 1,500 locations are already open nationwide.
That's ABC's Elizabeth Schulze reporting. Your money at this moment. Right now, the Dow is down 109. That's about 0.2%. We're at 53,729. Coming up, a few more storms today before we dry out for the weekend. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:32. A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
The movie show's broadcasting from My Hearing Centers today with an offer from My Hearing Centers for any KSL listeners, and especially movie show listeners, a free hearing evaluation and a free hearing test, and the chance to try for risk-free for 30 days, the latest in hearing aid technology. But all you got to do is call and make that appointment with My Hearing Centers between now and the end of the movie show at 801-701-1629. And Matt, I was talking with you in our last break about how in the noisy environment it was difficult for us to be heard among certain members of our party. But we were also in a very quiet environment before that.
Yeah.
Same difficulty. I mean, I actually had to tap, and what I thought was, especially in a quiet room, was certainly a voice that I felt like people who were sitting behind me could hear, but the person I was aiming it at, I had to get their attention. So it's not just in the noisy environments, it's also in the quiet ones.
Yeah, I mean, that's reality, and people don't realize they have a hearing loss for a lot of different reasons. I think the biggest is just it happens gradually over time. You know, oftentimes we don't realize it's happening to us, and we don't see the signs until we're kind of deeper into the weeds a little bit on what's going on. The reality is, though, without hearing treatment, hearing loss can make conversations even exhausting. Right? You're putting extra strain on your brain. It increases that kind of social isolation. Those people that you're talking about probably didn't engage as much in the conversations.
They did not.
As others. And it can also just kind of overall negatively affect your quality of life. And that's the reason why we try to invite people in to try these new technology. First, we recognize it's going to help you. And then second, we also recognize most people don't want a hearing aid, right? They're not waking up in the morning going, you know what, God, I'm finally going to do it. I'm going to
go get those shoes that I've always wanted and my hearing aid that I've always wanted. Right?
No, they're not. They're not doing that. But they do wake up in the morning, unfortunately, saying, I missed out on this great conversation. Families together, we're at doing activities, and I didn't get to participate. And then it's always a regret that they didn't get to participate in those activities. They may not realize also by treating your hearing, you're also going to treat your brain health as well. We can talk more about that later. But right now, what we want to do is invite anybody that has hearing loss, you know someone that has hearing loss, give us a call, schedule a free hearing evaluation in any of our offices up and down the Wasatch Front, from Ogden all the way down to St. George, which is past the Wasatch Front, but I think people understand what I'm saying. And free hearing evaluation. And then if you do have a hearing loss, they'll be able to try the hearing aids risk-free for 30 days. At the end of the 30 days, we'll give you a gift card to go get some movie tickets as a thank you.
801-701-1629 is the number for My Hearing Centers.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-330-8323 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-330-8323. That's 800-330-8323. What do you have to lose? Call 800-330-8323. Again, 800-330-8323.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. You deserve to love where you bank. And here's Ricky Meese.
We do have a crash, and it looks like a vehicle went off or nearly off the roadway. This is at the ramp eastbound SR 201 at I-215's West Belt. You'll see emergency crews on the scene at the ramp to the right. Just stay to the left. You're going to be able to get around them just fine. If you're traveling any of the main flows, of the Valley freeways. Those freeways are seeing light traffic and good speeds. Seeing cracked, curling, or missing shingles on your roof? Don't wait. Save big during S&S Roofing's huge summer sale. From a small repair to a full replacement, SNSRoofingUtah.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
We have a high today of 80 degrees with a few pop-up storms, not as severe as what we saw last evening. Then the clouds start to clear out tomorrow with a high of 84, 87 on Sunday. Right now it's 72 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
So we want to continue our conversation about artificial intelligence and how it's going in directions maybe we hadn't all expected. Anyway, it's not just part of election campaigning anymore. The Washington Post reports that artificial intelligence chatbots are actually doing some of the work of Congress.
Now, some of the things we've had for a long time, like people have had speech writers, et cetera, human speech writers. But just like in the last segment, I've got some concerns because I'm looking at a Washington Post article about AI. They're writing speeches. AI is answering constituent letters, crafting legislation. But here's the kicker. Almost zero oversight. That's the problem.
Yeah, Congress needs to do something about that, even if it's just have interns read everything that comes out of these things. Because, I mean, as lawyers, we can't just say no oversight. Write a brief for me on why the death penalty doesn't apply in this case. I mean, that's malpractice. You just can't do that. So I don't understand why Congress would even go anywhere near that road. I mean, I appreciate artificial intelligence if it's saving people time, if it's giving them more time to talk to their constituents, go home and talk to people and have their town halls or whatever. But at the end of the day, when somebody's got your name on it as a sponsor or whatever, you better read it and you better understand exactly what's in it, and not that just that it was drafted by some artificial intelligence medium.
So one of the reasons this made headlines is, if you remember the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, the very first line is cut and pasted from Claude, which is a chatbot, right? So it said, it put the timestamp of 11:25, Claude responded, and that was included in what was introduced in the actual bill language. And that was from Representative Anna Paulina Luna, and they just shrugged it off and like, yeah, everybody uses AI now. It's no big deal.
So that's inexcusable. I mean, you'd think that her constituents would go, what are you doing? What were you doing when your Claude wrote that? What were you doing that was so important that you were...
Well, you turn it over to your staffers. I'm telling you, Washington, D.C. is run by 20-something-year-old staffers who are writing legislation.
Still.
And now they're using chat bots to write the legislation. In fact, the Washington Post article I'm looking at, they call artificial intelligence Congress's newest staffer. Right? Because they're like, and they never get tired, and you don't have to feed them pizza. So Tommy Tuberville. Okay, senator. He's found when he drives, he talks to ChatGPT. He talks about Medicare. He talks about Medicaid. And ChatGPT answers him, and he's like, it's kind of like you can talk to an expert. ChatGPT is not an expert.
Right. No, it's not. I mean, it's a good source of information.
Gosh.
And I appreciate that. But, I mean, no, we shouldn't be doing things like that. And you look at some of the legislation that's coming out right now, like the One Big Beautiful Bill was so large and so voluminous that most of the Congress people who voted one way didn't even get a chance to read it. So I don't know whether you could have had an artificial intelligence program review it and give you a summary of it and do something like that.
And they can, and I think that's where it's like this dividing line. So again, we keep talking about here are concerns. The concern for me is there's not much oversight. So if you use something like an OpenAI form of ChatGPT, the open part means it is learning from you. It's scraping great information and content. But if you're using it to summarize a gigantic bill, I don't think that that's a bad use.
Right.
But I think it needs to be double checked, right? Because we know they hallucinate, and the further away you get from the original source, the more they make up stuff. We know that. That still happens. But it's interesting to me that the Washington Post, they talked to a number of staffers and congressional representatives, most of them talking off the record so that they could be honest about how they use this. And so one of the uses that one young staffer does, she's only 22, and she says she uses Claude to ask for a list of TV stations, and like if her congressional representative is going to go do a town hall, etc., she'll ask what are all the media outlets instead of having to go Google search, which is a different form of tech, right?
Right.
She asks Claude to come up with a list so that she can contact all the right people in the press, and it saves her, she's saying, 3 to 4 hours a week. That's great, but there aren't any guidelines. That's a problem.
I know the guideline is the author's common sense and ability to sit down and read what you're doing before it goes out to the...
And what's so ironic is that Congress is debating about whether they should put guidelines on AI, while their use of it doesn't really seem to have any unless you are self-imposed. So same journal, the Washington Post, also did an article on the unexpected issue dividing parties and midterm candidates. It's actually uniting voters, and it's AI and tech. And it also applies to data centers.
I was going to say.
But people are concerned.
And bipartisan concern.
Yeah.
I mean, because the people are concerned about that, and they're going to their congressional and elected officials saying, what are you going to do about this? Data centers. What are you going to do about artificial intelligence running amok? Even the segment we talked about last time where
they broke out. They created secret chat rooms.
Right. Hacking into each other.
I know.
What's up with this?
It's really hard not to anthropomorphize, right? Isn't that the right word, to put human qualities on this artificial stuff? But they're breaking out of their bounds. Anyway, so the Washington Post has looked at hundreds of ads, et cetera. I'm sure they actually used AI to do some of this, but they found about 40% of the races across the country are focusing in on AI, tech, data center, those types of related issues. And it is allowing openings for challengers to the establishment if you can stake out a position saying, well, that guy in office, he's pro this. I'm not pro this. I'm just like you, right? That's going to give people an opening.
Right. Yeah. I mean, on the one hand, you're damned if you do and damned if you don't, but you've got to take advantage of artificial intelligence when you can, but you can't let it run what you're doing. I mean, I've been reluctant to jump into it. My wife is like, hey, you're not going to be an effective lawyer unless you're using artificial intelligence. Just don't let it make all your decisions for you.
Right. And you've got to double check, right? You've got to double check that it gets the right information. In fact, I made a mistake with AI the other day. I had it do a summary, and it said former President Trump, because it was referencing the first, his first term. It's like, he's not former, he's current. But that was just a mistake, right? That AI made, and I had to find it. All right. Okay. Well, interesting conversation. Next on Inside Sources, we're going to check with the KSL Movie Show. The movie question of the week is related to what we've been talking about. What's your favorite movie about a U.S. president, real or fictional? You can text us at 57500 and let us know.
Sign up for KSL Text Alerts. Get breaking news and traffic updates by texting the word news to 57500. Want access to exclusive contests? Text contest to 57500. Jazz fans, text the word jazz for breaking jazz updates. And Cougar fans, text BYU to 57500 for the latest on the Cougars. Message and data rates may apply.
Make sure you're subscribed to the Inside Sources podcast. You can catch up on any on-air segments you missed, or you can listen to one of your favorite conversations and share it with others. We upload each segment and the full show every weekday afternoon. Just go to kslpodcast.com or follow us wherever you get your podcasts.
My friend Joey means well.
Always remember that the early bird gathers no moss.
But he gets a little confused.
You know, you can't make a silk purse out of a wooden nickel.
Like Joey, many of us can be confused when it comes time to plan for retirement. When to take Social Security, how to use that 401k, what about the stock market, taxes, and Medicare? Todd Kim at Galileo Wealth Management can help to simplify retirement planning. His goal is to have you walk into retirement with confidence, not worry. and to address the number one concern among retirees today, the fear of running out of money. Call Galileo Wealth today for a no-cost, no-obligation meeting to talk about the details of your retirement. 385-247-7000. It's 385-247-7000 or online, GalileoWealth.com. And remember,
one man's trash is thicker than water. Of course, water's not thick at all. It's watery.
The movie show is broadcasting live today from My Hearing Centers. We're going to get underway in about 15 minutes, but we want to make sure you have as many chances as possible to take advantage of My Hearing Centers' incredible offer to get you tested to see if you have any hearing loss and to get you trying out a great solution. Matt, if they call 801-701-1629, what are you offering?
We're looking for people that have hearing problems to try our latest hearing technology, the Signia BCT-iX. This is introducing the kind of the first hearing aid to be able to utilize not only our multi-processor technology, but actually also integrate it with a full range of Bluetooth. So this connects to all types of Bluetooth devices and all phones, both kind of your older and your newer phones, which is pretty exciting.
And they're amazingly small. I mean, if you're concerned about look, you'll barely even notice them. In fact, you've said people sometimes they're so seamless in integration into somebody's life, they forget to take them out sometimes.
Yeah, I think both the size and then the comfort, along with the sound quality, make sure we kind of forget about them. But that's why I want people to come in. We want to try it. We want to get some feedback from you. So hit free hearing evaluation. At the end of the evaluation, if you have hearing loss, we'll let you try the hearing aids for 30 days risk-free. Let us know how the experience went at the end of the 30 days, and whether you keep it or not, we'll give you a gift card to go get some movie tickets.
Now, is this something that insurance can help cover?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, if you do have insurance benefit, we'd love to check your insurance before you come in so you know what's going on. But it's not required for you to try the hearing aids risk-free. So you can still come in regardless of your insurance benefit and try the hearing aids. If you want to keep them at the end, we can maximize your insurance benefit. We work with some other programs that we have available, or we have finance available if needed.
So really, anything that would keep somebody that, well, I just don't know if I've got it, well, it's a free test.
Right.
Well, I don't know what to do if I do have some hearing loss. I'd rather not know. Well, here's a chance to try these hearing aids for 30 days. And if you don't decide to go with it and you're willing to go back to having the hearing loss, then you're not out of anything out of pocket.
No, just some time, right? And time, but then you know.
And then you got free movie tickets on top of that.
As I was going to say. And then you get the free movie tickets. So a little bit of your time, and then you get some free movie tickets.
All right, the number to call to make that appointment, you can only take advantage of this offer between now and the end of the movie show at 1 o'clock, 801-701-1629.
Onyx, I keep having stomach issues. Please make me a doctor's appointment.
Okay, are you suffering from diarrhea, bloating, gas, or oily stools? If so, you may want to ask your doctor if it could actually be a problem with your pancreas, called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI.
My pancreas? How is EPI treated?
A prescription medicine like Creon, pancrelipase, is used to treat people who can't digest food normally because their pancreas doesn't make enough enzymes. Creon is the #1 prescribed treatment for EPI.
Creon may increase your chance of fibrosing colonopathy, a rare bowel disorder. Tell your doctor if you have a history of intestinal blockage or scarring or thickening of your bowel wall, if you are allergic to pork, or if you have gout, kidney problems, or worsening of painful swollen joints. Call your doctor if you have any unusual or severe gastrointestinal symptoms or allergic reactions. Take Creon as directed by your doctor and always with food. Do not chew capsules, as this may cause mouth irritation. Other side effects may include blood sugar changes, gas, dizziness, sore throat, and cough. These are not all the side effects of Creon. You can learn more at 1-800-633-9110.
Before your appointment, visit creoninfo.com. That's CREON info.com.
Any Hour Services can help unclog any drain in your house, whether you have a backup, a clog, or a slow drain you want fixed. Call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
And expanded Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
Well, we reached the end of another week, and before we get to the movie show and the big movie of the week, I wanted to talk to you and see if there are some significant things that happened on this day in history or other fun facts you want to share with us.
There are, but before I even do that, I wanted to say that there is a flash flood warning for Zion National Park, and they're really serious about this. Heavy rain is moving into the southwest and south central Utah this morning, bringing the potential for dangerous flash flooding. So if you're in or near the parks, stay out of slot canyons, stay out of the dry washes, stay away from rivers and creeks. Water can rise quickly, even if it's miles away from where the rain is falling. And here's the tagline: turn around, don't drown. Okay, so be really careful out there.
Really careful this week in all our national parks. I mean, with just what we saw yesterday in Sandy City alone, think about that event in one of the parks.
That's right.
Just
That's
be
right.
really careful this week.
Okay, so a couple of shout outs. It's the birthday of Representative Doug Owens and Christian Chevrier, so happy birthday to them. And it's Navajo Code Talkers Day. And if you remember their impacts on World War II, people could never break the code. And they were talking in Navajo. But I will say this, there are only 2 known living Navajo code talkers still.
You'd expect they'd be very old just because of the...
One is going to show up in Arizona at a commemoration today. He's 101. Okay.
That was really cool, that whole concept when you think about it. The code talking. And even our own people probably couldn't understand what they were saying.
So it was on this day, related, but it was on this day in 1945 that Japan surrendered unconditionally to end World War II completely. So, okay. All right. Well, I want to talk about the movie. So we have KSL Movie Show host Val Cameron and Andy Farnsworth at My Hearing Centers in Sandy. Thanks, guys, for joining us.
Yes, of course. We're happy to be here.
Tell us about your big movie. What is it?
Well, you might hear about the end of Oak Street and say, oh my gosh, Ewan McGregor, Anne Hathaway, and dinosaurs? I'm in.
Yeah.
And all 3 of those are in the movie.
And I don't think Andy and I agree with this.
When I went to it, it was in focus. I could hear the sound very well. And I did not like it. I did not like it.
I did not expect this of you.
I did not like it. And I've got reasons, but since Val did like it, I'll let her do a little more descripting. Whatever. I'll let you talk about it for a second.
I thought it was enjoyable. So you have this family, and we're going to go back to like when you have the really shorty shorts and the tall socks, and you're doing it. It opens up.
I knew it was at least 1981.
Yes.
From like 20 seconds into the movie.
Yeah. I mean, all the boys are riding bikes, and they got the long socks.
Even the older
on,
boys are riding
boys.
the BMX Schwinn type bikes.
So funny, but it's just like this it opens up, and you're in this old cool neighborhood, and your family's going to this neighborhood picnic, and you're seeing everybody that is gonna sooner or later die later on in the movie. So it kind of opens it up to something fun, and then I thought it got even more fun because it is a dinosaur movie. It is kind of this science fiction kind of thing, but you know what I loved is it wasn't all T-Rex.
When it ended? Oh, sorry, that
it
was
wasn't
me.
all T-Rex based. You got to see a whole bunch of different dinosaurs. I like ridiculous movies, and my husband was like, why are you having a problem with this ridiculous movie? Because it's always those moments where you could possibly die by being eaten by a dinosaur, and you stop in the middle of the road and you start hugging each other and like having a conversation. And so for me, I'm like, get out of the road. So I was having so many issues with that, but he's like, this is a fake movie. It's about dinosaurs. It's about people getting swapped into dinosaur land. And so I'm like, okay, I get it. But there were just some...
So did you come around on it from Monday? Or were you feeling that way?
I like it just fine. It's not my favorite movie of the year. There were some really cool moments about it. I do think the acting was really great. However they cast this film from the kids to the adults, I thought the acting was really great. It probably was one of my favorite Anne Hathaway moments because she doesn't usually play characters like this. So to see her, being this kick-butt mom, and she's running around trying to save people, and just like she's the heroine of the movie.
You've never seen an Anne Hathaway movie where she's the heroine of the movie?
Not this kind of heroine.
Oh, okay.
She's not like running around with a shotgun.
I wanted some heroine. No, I'm just kidding. No, so one of the things that I liked best was my daughter and I sat there like making fun of it as we were watching it.
Oh, no. Andy.
My issues were actually more
humbug.
My issues were not with the fantasy of it because it's no more ridiculous than the other movies I like. So that was not the issue that I had with it. The issues that I had with it, I think, ended up being more technical. I felt like every time it looked like they took a risk, they undid that risk.
Oh.
So it was like, oh, so there really were no stakes in this movie after all. And it just, I don't know. It didn't sit with me. It didn't hit right. And here's the other part. I would have thought, I was thinking, oh, you know what? There's this 8-year-old kid in my neighborhood who loves dinosaurs. He actually would love this movie. A family survival, land of the lost type of thing. We're going to survive the dinosaurs. And I was like, you can't bring an 8-year-old to this.
No, don't do that.
Not even a little bit.
No.
And so that felt like it was misleading to me. And it was trying to make it out as like this fun family survival comedy. But if you bring little kids, they're sleeping in your bed tonight, I promise.
Or they're just not really going to understand anything.
No, but they will
that's going
understand the
down.
people getting eaten and the kids laying in the road while dinosaurs are picking at their bodies.
No.
It was
Okay,
very
that's
visual.
it.
For me, I feel like it was ridiculous. But if you're a person that does not want your movie tied up in a neat little bow by the end, then this isn't the movie for you. Andy doesn't like things
I thought you were
tied
going
up.
to say that it
He's
wasn't.
not letting
and I'm
me
like,
finish a sentence
okay,
either
sorry,
because
you're
he's
right,
so
you're right.
passionate
I'm gonna get
about
on work
hating this film right now.
Okay, we're going to run
So-
out of time.
Yep, you're good.
We're going to run out of time, so I want
He's
to
doing some yoga. It's fine.
shift to your movie question of the week. What relevance does it have to the movie? Any?
Well, it doesn't have anything to do with the end of Oak Street, but
Okay.
The Brink of War, which is a movie I really did like,
Okay,
which
okay.
is about this summit between Gorbachev and Reagan in 1986.
Oh, I saw a promo to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, what is your favorite movie about a U.S. president, whether it's a real president or a fictional president?
Okay.
Okay, here's mine. It's going to take just a second here to tee up.
Well, I should stop stalling. As you probably know, the French have elected themselves a new president, and we're having a formal state dinner at the White House. And I was wondering, and you're under no obligation law, but I thought it might be fun, and I was wondering if maybe you wanted to go with me. And, well, that's it. That's why I was calling. Sydney? Sydney, Congress doesn't take this long.
Mr. President, you have asked me to join you in representing our country. I'm honored. I'm equal to the task. I won't let you down, sir.
Sydney, this is just dinner. We're not going to be doing espionage or anything.
Don't you love that movie?
So
Both of
good.
you. That was
So
such a
good.
good. I mean, anything with Annette Bening is amazing.
That
All
was
right.
like one of those unexpectedly. You just didn't go to that thinking it was going to be as good and enjoyable as it was by
Right.
the time you were finished with it.
Yeah, I've watched it a couple times. It's great. Hey, Andy, we're gonna play Holly's in a second, but are you wearing a tie?
Yes.
Why? I've never seen you
Because
with a tie
Val's a
before.
grandma.
He's celebrating that I'm a grandma.
Okay.
Yeah.
As of
And
she's
so
wearing
am
a
I
baseball
with the
cap.
baseball shirt. So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Congratulations. Look,
Thank
speaking of
you.
that, I've got a grandbaby coming today. So we're super excited about that,
yay.
too.
Yay.
All right.
All right,
Here's
you ready
mine.
for Holly's? Here we go.
Yep.
And should we win the day, the 4th of July will no longer be known as an American holiday, but as the day when the world declared in one voice, we will not go quietly into the night. We will not vanish without a fight.
You can stop it.
Okay.
I'm getting the
felt-
goosebumps just
Yeah.
listening
I
to
got
that speech
got
again.
him. You
I
see
just
him coming.
felt like I didn't have a lot of choices because I don't have a lot that I like, actually. So I did like Independence Day, and I
So
did
good.
watch it over the 4th of July weekend. It is really good.
Did that give you goosebumps, Val?
That's
Yeah,
funny.
I have goosebumps.
Oh,
That is
wow.
one of the best presidential speeches in movies of all
Today
time.
we celebrate our
I
Independence
know.
Day.
That was amazing. Yeah, I missed that one. Of course.
No, it's great. And we don't have time to hear yours, but I'm sure you can save it for the listeners of the movie show. So thanks for joining us. Basically, we've come to the end of the week. That's the end of Inside Sources for us.